Okay then, so welcome everybody to today's event. Thank you for joining us. So this event today is brought to you by Women Empowering Women UK, and just to kind of give you a little bit about us really, we're a brand new online platform. Next week will be our 6-month anniversary, our birthday. And we're basically a bunch of women on a mission to support other women in all aspects of their lives, whether that's seeking employment or starting their own business, to dealing with women's health issues, or even escaping abuse, or you know, knowing how to deal with your children as they're growing up. So we've got a growing team of ambassadors who are on hand to share their expertise, and they're just passionate about women really. So we kind of come together and we provide resources, information and advice. We've got forums where women can come to our website and ask questions and get support from our team of specialists. So we're in the process at the moment of becoming a not-for-profit organisation. So for those that can afford to, we ask that if you want to get involved and support us, you can become a member, and that's just £5 a month, and that helps us to keep our site going. And if and as and when we grow, we have enough money left over, we're going to have an end of year get together where we will ask who you want our money to go to, and there will be a vote, and we'll decide what projects, charities or events that support will go to. So today's event that we've put on for you is supporting women that are, you know, looking to get back into work. Obviously with everything with COVID, people have lost their jobs, people are feeling very unsettled, and then there are other people that might be looking to develop, you know, where they're at the moment, and you know, might want to go for promotion. So we've got 3 wonderful speakers that have kindly given up their time to support you all today in fulfilling that. So if you've got any questions at all during this, just add it to the chat box. I'll keep an eye on that chat box and we'll try and get all of those answers to you. So without further ado, we're going to start off with Mandy Ward, who's got 30 years experience in HR management. She's also an author and a coach. She continues to work in the HR field and has recently published a book for Jobseekers called Get That Job, which incorporates all of her experience as an HR manager and a job seeker. The book also contains the advice of a recruiter and a CV coach. And in April 2020, Mandy launched a new business, just as we went into lockdown, like you do, called Write My Book, in which she helps others to write and publish a book of their own. So if you don't get the job, you could write your book, and Mandy can help you. So Mandy uses LinkedIn to bring in leads for her own business, and we'll talk to you today about how to use LinkedIn as a way to gain employment. So Mandy, it's over to you.
Thank you very much for that lovely introduction, and thank you everybody for rocking up today. I know we were talking earlier on about the fact that everyone's a little bit zoomed out, so hopefully there'll be some tips in here today that will help you. This is all about LinkedIn for job seekers, and I'm coming at it from not only a business owner who pulls in leads, but from somebody that has also used LinkedIn to find work and also to find employees when I was employed in HR. So that's a photograph of me there. So the first point with LinkedIn is get yourself a good profile photograph. And yes, you can get formal ones made, and there's various photographers out there that will do that for you. But actually, I've done all that, and then I've gone back to having a photograph that just explains who I am. And what I would say is smile, because it does attract people to you if you smile. So how to make your profile look better. So I picked up on Nicola's here as an example. She's got some lovely photographs in the background, and what she's explaining there is who she is, what she's about and what she does. It tells what her job title is and where she's based, along with the connections. Your page profile, again, I've said there, smile. So this is mine. There's a banner at the back. You can take advantage of that, and it doesn't have to be anything blank. And what I would say is fill in every single field on LinkedIn. And eventually, once you've done that, you will become what is called an all-star. And what that really means is that you've filled in all of your profile and leveraged everything that LinkedIn has got to offer. You don't have to pay premium to use LinkedIn. I don't use premium. I know that there are people that do, but from a job hunting perspective, you can just take the bog standard free offering of LinkedIn. What you can do is keep an eye on your dashboard. You can see who's been looking at your profile, who's been looking at the posts that you put out there. We could talk about that in a little while. And this is important for you guys if you're job searching or building a business. You can still get to see who's been looking at your profile. You can record your name. So this has been set up recently for people whose names are difficult to understand or to pronounce. But actually what you can do is use that to say a little bit about yourself, because there's quite a few seconds. I can't remember how many. So you can say, hi, I'm Mandy. I'm a X job title looking for a job in Y, where you're looking for work. So you can practice it. You can keep practicing it. And it's a really good idea to do that. And then you've got a headline. So this is all about making an impact really quickly. Your headline should tell people what you do and how you deliver. And it's all about, if you think about going for an interview, what you have to tell the interviewer is who you are, what your job title is, and how you've delivered results. If you focus on those three things when you're using LinkedIn, you'll get yourself ahead of the game. By the way, if anybody's got questions as we go along, please just ask.
Sorry, Mandy, just
Yeah.
very quickly, I know that we've got a couple of students here.
Yes.
As students, what would they put in that headline?
What I would do is say, what's your ideal job title? What are you looking for? And you've got quite a few things in there. So if we look at my profile there, book structure lady, so there's quite a few things that you can put in there, and I use a little line to differentiate. So you could put your job title in there, you could put who you want to work for in this section, and then in here you could put things about your experience or what you've delivered, so project management, or you could put in here about your behaviours, what you deliver for, what you can deliver and what you've succeeded at. So if through university you've had awards, or you've come top of the class, or you're part of a netball team, whatever it is, team players are always important as well. So just put some stuff in there that's describing who you are and what you're about, because that's going to attract the recruiter when they're looking.
Brilliant, thank you.
And the thing to think about as well, it's recruiters are looking for people, HR people are looking for people, and line managers are looking for people. So it's important to reach out to those organisations. You can do that on LinkedIn. There's a search bar at the top. You can go and look for the organisations that you like to work for. You can Google a list of all the employers that are within, say, I don't know, a 20-mile radius. And obviously, if whether you've got transport or not, but you can look at those organisations, then you can go out and hunt them out. And I would advocate doing that. I know Karen will talk a little bit more about that in a little while. So that's your dashboard. It's really interesting to keep an eye on that. I wouldn't get obsessed with it, but this is really important for you, because when people start looking at your profile, so for example, I still have people looking for HR managers looking at me, because there are people. So it shows you that LinkedIn is used to search for people, which is really powerful. The about section, that's quite a lot of information that you could put in here, but this has to be about how you can deliver results. So when I've put my profile on here, it's not about me, it's about what I can deliver, what problems I can solve. So how are you going to be the next best employee? What you do, how you do it, and why you do it, and why should they choose you? So that's your opportunity to get in the top 10-20% when recruiters are searching for somebody. Your ideal job title I've talked about already. So again, I've picked out some examples here of people who have leveraged their headline, the strap line that goes at the top of LinkedIn. So have a look at other people and how they do it. But what we're all telling people is what we do and how we do it. Again, if you see a profile with open to work on it, that is just wasting everybody's time, really, because a recruiter can't search what you do. They're not going to look at a profile that says open to work and then go into the detail to find out what you do. They haven't got time. So put your ideal job title. What you can also do, you can go through the LinkedIn help and identify how to put the little green circle. There's a little green circle on some people's profiles, if you'd notice, and what that actually says is open to work. I would advocate you put that on because people then know that you're looking for work, but make sure that you put your job title in, and again, tell us what you do. So again, look at other people's examples. Add the green banner to your profile. Now, I've used LinkedIn for probably 18 months now to leverage and help my business, but I learned it from scratch. I've not been on a training course. You can Google it. The LinkedIn help is really helpful. So if there's something you're not quite sure about, you're not quite sure how to turn searching for work button on, that kind of thing, the LinkedIn help is really useful. When you post, and what I would advocate is you post on a regular basis. So if you are a student that is just about to start looking for work, start talking in your post, and I would say on a regular basis, daily if you can. Tell them what you do, what you've done, what you've achieved, talk about your hobbies, talk about your interests, talk about your achievements. And at the bottom of every post, use the hashtag open to work. You can use other hashtags. So people use hashtags, as you know, to search. So if you're looking for a job in HR, you use the HR hashtag. If you're looking for a job as a buyer, use the buyer hashtag, etc. So it's, internships, that kind of thing. Have a look on LinkedIn, do a search at the top button. What are the key hashtags that people are using to find people like you, and then use that hashtag. Again, recommendations are really important. So fill up your profile with recommendations. It's a bit further down the page. Having gone through university or whatever it is that you've done, you will have experience of whatever it is that you've done. Get people that know, like, and trust you to give recommendations for you. And the way I do that is, if people say, well, people's time's really busy, or I don't know what to write, what I do is I write it for them. If they then want to tweak it, because they get to see it first, if they then want to tweak it, it's up to them. Obviously, don't say anything that's not untrue. Don't put anything in there that you haven't done, because you will get caught out. So again, when you post, it's posting about results, skills, experience, testimonials, and fun stuff. Friday afternoons, if you post, post a funny video of a dog in a floaty boat on the sea, you'll get loads of comments and likes, because people like that by Friday afternoon. So it's just finding out what suits you, really, in terms of showing your personality. Again, it is a network. So if you think about, you're probably aware of the networks across the world. There was, if you've heard of 6 degrees of separation, that came about because a guy wanted to know if he could get a parcel to the other side of the world without it going in the post or without a delivery service. And what it took was 6 different people to pass that parcel to the individual, and it got there through people. At the moment, because of social media, they reckon the 6 degrees of separation is probably now either 2 or 3. So you're only 2 or 3 steps away from the people that you need to reach to find that job. And it is all about building the know, like, trust. Net, we are all part of it, whether we like it or not. And work, it does take work. So you do have to put the effort in, but it doesn't take that long. Strategic networking, again, I'd encourage you to get active so you can see who's been looking at your posts. Views are vanity, and job offers are, the real sanity. They're the real thing. So if you keep going, something will come forward for you. Search for people, organisations and job titles. Like, comment and celebrate. Now, the one thing I've found with LinkedIn is, if you think about the school playground, you can stand on the sideline and watch what's going on, or you can jump in and go and make friends. And it's not about playing tag with people and just saying, hello, how are you? You have to build relationships, and that takes time. So it's just like when you make friendships. The one thing we don't do on LinkedIn is share, because shares just dive bottom your profile. I don't know why, it's just how they're set up, but yeah, sharing, I do it sometimes if there's something that I really want to validate, but what I tend to do is post about it rather than share the original post. Summary, check for grammar, build the know, like, trust. There's nothing worse. I'm I'm not a grammar critic. So long as I can understand it, I'm fine with that. People are dyslexic. There's lots of different reasons why people don't spell right, but there are grammar snobs out there, and there are employers who will look at that and think, well, they've not paid attention to detail, so that's critical. Build a know, like, trust, connect, like and comment, collaborate, support each other, celebrate other people's achievements. To a large degree at the moment, we're all in the same boat. There are people out there that are saying that they're achieving a lot, but underneath it all, we're all winging it really at the moment to a large degree. And people aren't always who they say they are. So again, build those relationships. I'd say be consistent and keep going, because it is a numbers game. There are people on LinkedIn who've been on there for some time. There's a couple of people I was they're live anyway, so I was a little bit concerned about putting their names down, but there's people on there at the moment who are sharing job posts for other people. They are obviously searching for work and talking about it. So go and root them out. There's a guy called Duncan Strachan. He's a marketeer. He's doing an awful lot to help people job searching. A lady called Jane Sheffield. She's just got a job after 12 months and she's worked really hard. It's worth having a look at some of her posts because she's been very creative in how she's searched for work. Again, celebrate when you get that job. That's the cover of my book. Do connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with each other, stay connected and stay in touch. Has anybody got any questions? That was a very quick run through, I understand, but has anybody got any questions?
No. Well, thank you. That's okay. There's buttons and things there that I didn't even know existed. So it's good to talk, isn't it? And and then Deb was saying she didn't know that you could use hashtags in LinkedIn.
Yeah, I just noticed that. Yeah. People use them to search for specific things, but have a play with it and create your own hashtag if you want. If nobody else has already got it, you can create your own hashtag. Quite a lot of businesses do that. So it's all part of your branding. We all know about employer branding. We all know about you have to brand yourself because you only get 30 seconds to make a first impression, so you've got to make it a good one. Yeah.
I found that really, really useful, Mandy. I mean, I'm not looking for work, but I put my business on LinkedIn not that long ago. And I wasn't sure how to use LinkedIn for my business, but that's just made me think, actually, and the hashtags thing actually is really interesting. Yeah.
But from a business perspective, when you get it right, you don't have to worry about selling because the leads come in. So I started getting inquiries. And it is all about, and for job seekers as well as business owners, identifying your ideal customer. So if you're looking for work, identify your ideal employer and go and search them out then and make friends with them. I still friends with or make connections with quite a few HR people because every now and again I still do a bit of HR work. I keep my hand in and I like to keep up to date with what's going on. And it's a great way to socialise, especially with going through lockdown. Without the friends I've made on LinkedIn, it's been absolute godsend. So,
thank you.
Okay,
so next up we've got Karen Moore, owner of KSM Recruitment. Karen has got over 30 years experience interviewing candidates, running assessment centres, training courses, right through to managing her own HR departments. Karen is a fully qualified recruitment coach, so this is a great opportunity today to pick Karen's brains. So if you've got any questions at all, like we said earlier, just pop them into the chat box and we'll try and get those answered. And also just want to say, Karen's also one of our ambassadors for Women Empowering Women, which shows her enthusiasm to support women and companies across the UK with her expertise. Karen's on hand for all of our members, offering free advice and support. And she's going to share you some her top tips today, getting yourself that competitive edge when you're job hunting. So, Karen, it's over to you.
Thanks, Nick. That's lovely. And hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's really good to have this opportunity. Don't worry, I'm not going to bring slides to this to my session because I've done quite a comprehensive handout that you're all absolutely welcome to have. Just let Nick know your email address at the end and we can get that to you. And as as Nick has just said, really, I am passionate about trying to help people, job seekers, with some, you'd be amazed at some of the silly little errors that can have an absolutely huge impact. I've sat both sides of the table. I've worked, as Nicola said, you know, for recruitment agencies as an in-house recruiter, and there's not a whole lot, I don't think, that I haven't seen from the perspective of, you know, looking at CVs day in and day out. I also coach as well, career coach, and that has paid dividends to some. Recently, I coached a graduate. She graduated last year. She was feeling a little bit lost in the whole melee of it, really, where to get a job, and then COVID hit. And yeah, so just taking them through a process and having time to just spend a little bit more time with somebody on a one-to-one basis can have a huge impact. But today it's about top tips, and these are quick, what I call quick wins. So if you think about it, I sit and look at CVs all day long. I talk to clients and I talk to candidates. So these top tips, you've got 7 seconds, probably just under 7 seconds, I would say, for a recruitment manager, a hiring manager, a recruiter to look at your CV. Now that's not very long, is it? And they can turf you out in that amount of time if you haven't sort of done things right. So first of all, what I would say is try to keep it 2 to 2.5 sides of A4 if you can. Don't stress too much if it goes to 3 sides. I'd rather have 3 sides of something that was relevant than somebody missed something out, which one lady did. I said to her, what have you done for this missing 8 years? And she was so worried about stretching her CV that she'd left it out. And so don't stress too much, but 2 to 2.5 is brilliant. 3, you know, don't do it if need be, but I'd say no more than 3. Use a nice clear font, like a 10 or a 12, so make it readable. Everything, as Mandy was saying, really get everything checked, grammar, spelling. There's really no excuses for these days. And when you're coming to write your CV, don't worry about putting your full address on. I would always just advocate your town and your postcode. That's enough, really. Don't worry about that. But when it comes to your email address, now I've seen all sorts of email addresses. Try to use your name. Nicola's laughing. I can see her in my eye, corner of my eye. You can imagine what I have seen for some. Now, as a recruiter, you sort of tend to remember, well, I tend to remember, you know, oh, that was Sally, and I've got this picture of Sally in my mind. Now, if Sally's used a weird email address, such as, you know, I don't know, bigdaddy@hotwheels.com or whatever it might be, I'm not going to remember Sally as that. I'm going to remember Sally because she's Sally Smith or whatever her name may be. So try to use your name as much as possible and not a gimmicky one. Obviously, you don't need to worry about your date of birth or your marital status or your age. So don't worry about things like that. But you do need dates. Employers still get very hung up if they see gaps on CVs. And I would say dates of where you went to school, college, uni, and the names of those locations as well. Purely because they like to see a consistent run. If there's a gap, you can talk about the gap, but put your dates in. Career history, you need to start. Do you know, I've been looking at CVs this morning and it is amazing. Some people still start back in 1984 or whenever it was. No, I want to see what you're doing right now. Because right now, as we were saying at the beginning, you've got just under 7 seconds. If I've got to trawl back to see what you've done, that's eating into that 7 seconds. I need the maximum impact right now. So put on your career history, your most recent, and work back. And when you put the name of the company, for example, let's say you've worked for ABC Associates. Now, what do ABC Associates do? As a recruiter, sometimes I actually have to go and find out what ABC Associates do, because my client has asked me, have they got experience in the sector they're recruiting in? So if ABC Associates are looking for somebody, if the particular company are looking for somebody in a particular sector, ABC Associates, you may be in that sector, but if you don't tell me that, I don't know that. And again, me having to go and look that up, it's eating into that time. Only needs to be a few words: solicitor's practice, accountancy, electronics, manufacturer of widgets, something like that, just a few words. Obviously, bullet point your duties, bullet point your responsibilities, and also put any achievements or any improvements you've made at that particular company. Because again, people like to see that. Obviously, a lot of companies and a lot of recruiters use applicant tracking systems, or ATS, as they're called. Now, this is a way of shortlisting CVs. In order to make sure your CV is picked up in that ATS and not hurled out at the first round, what you need to do is look at the job description or the advert and make sure your CV states some of those key words. So, for example, if they're looking for a customer service manager, if that's what it states, your CV will need to say those words throughout it. Otherwise, it's not going to be picked up. So obviously, you can't apply, or you shouldn't be applying for things you haven't got the relevant experience in. You can't lie. But if you've got it, make sure they know about it. Again, hobbies and interests, really good for graduates. I think Mandy was talking about this on the LinkedIn as well. I've sat with directors and of when they're doing a graduate recruitment round, and they pick up on this almost as an opening gambit to discuss with graduates, because they can see, are they a team player? What have they actually done outside of work or uni or college? Because maybe they haven't got that much work experience at the moment. And if you can, get your CV professionally written, or if not, if you can't afford that, just get it checked by somebody in the know a little bit, so they can just give it a bit of a diagnosis. So structuring your cover letter now, keep it simple, keep it clear. Hiring managers don't have time to read War and Peace, 2 or 3 paragraphs. I always say to people, make sure you put in it why you're applying for the role and why you think you'd be good for them. As long as you've got those 2 bits in, that you've covered it really, you've nailed it. And again, go back to that advert or that job description, look at some of those keywords they're looking for, those responsibilities, and make sure you put them in the letter. Nice and brief, but include them. So it goes nicely with your CV then. Personalise your letter. You'd be amazed. I could write a book. I've received cover letters that have got not got my name on, Dear Fred, instead of Dear Karen, or Hi Karen, or whatever. And then, I'd like to apply for whichever role, and they've got the wrong role in there. So just be a little bit careful. Attention to detail, because if you're not getting things right there, how does it look for you? They're thinking, well, if I can't get this right at this stage, how are they going to work in the workplace? Now, this is something that when I coach, I always tell people, if you can create yourself a job search framework, put yourself head and shoulders above everybody else. I've recently, in the last couple of 3 weeks, been doing graduate interviews. And I'm amazed. In fact, I've started to write a blog on this. I'll ring them up. Yes, I'll book them in. We've actually got an interview now. So that's their time to have an interview with me. And then they'll say, oh, I can't remember who I've applied for. I've applied for that many jobs. I can't remember the job. Now, that is totally understandable in the days where we're all sending a lot of CVs out. What isn't forgivable, though, from my perspective, is you can easily make this manageable. So create yourself an Excel spreadsheet, name of the company or name of the role, where you saw it, any reference numbers, do a bit of research, put the date, if it's got the company name, put what the company do, etc. So you've got yourself a framework. Take a copy of that advert that you saw, print it off, put it on a Word document, wherever it might be, and then you've got a full record then. So when an employer or a recruiter rings and says, oh, Fred, I'd like to set up an interview for the operations manager in Redditch. Oh, yes, I've got a record of that. I know exactly. Rather than, and I've actually gone into the interview with somebody and they haven't got a clue. When I've actually asked them, what is it that attracted you to the role? They don't know which role I'm talking about. So again, hiring managers, recruiters, they haven't got loads of time. We're in a very busy industry at the moment. So Yeah. I'm just keeping one eye on the clock. This is a bit of a whistle stop tour. So job board and social media. Like Mandy says, there's lots going on. Recruiters, hiring managers will look for you out there in the big social media world. I always say that if they're putting their jobs on job boards, you need to be looking at those job boards daily. Set yourself up with alerts on your phone, etc., so that again you're seeing them as they're being posted. But you will have to put the work in to keep looking, because if you don't, and you leave it 2 or 3 weeks, that job could be off the job board. They could have found somebody by then. Yeah, great. If you can have a LinkedIn profile that's like Mandy was going through, that gives you the edge as well, because people will, but they will search for you. They'll have a look at your social media profiles. Interview preparation. Again, you've got to think, if you get an interview, that's great. Now we need to do some preparation. And you've got to start here and think about some of the questions you may get asked. The clues will be in that advert or job description. So if they're looking for a team player, it's more than likely you're going to be asked, tell me a time when you worked in a team, blah, blah, blah. So this is where you're doing your research. As I said earlier, they'll normally ask you, and again, I'm laughing because this was another graduate round I did, and why did you apply for this role? And I had one lady that said, because my mum told me to. She may well have done, but that's not really why I think that I should be recruiting you. So yeah, so again, competency-based questions, use this as an opportunity to think about, you know, if they're saying, tell me a time, give me an example of, describe a situation. Those are sort of questions. That's what we call competency-based questions. And you can start to have a look at those by looking at the job description and the advert. Think, right, they're more than likely going to pick up and say, they're going to ask me about a time when I did manage a department, or I did have experience of customer service, or whatever it might be. If you haven't worked, if you are a student or a graduate, don't panic if you haven't got real work-life experiences here. Use what you did at school, college, university, it's fine. It's not so much that the recruiter or the hiring manager is looking for, you know, they don't want necessarily the best answer in the textbook. They're looking for, can you relate? Can you bring that experience to the table? And can you think quite quickly about it? So if you've had a chance to do a bit of research first, you're not going to be sitting there going, it's going to be, oh yeah, when I was at uni, I did have to work in a team because we had some projects, blah, blah. So now we've hopefully come through, you've got yourself prepared, you've got yourself that interview. That interview starts the moment you walk through that door. So very often the receptionist's been geared up to, you know, to sort of look how you're doing. Are you smiling? Are you sitting properly? Are you sitting up? Are you not fidgeting? Please turn your phone off before you walk in. The worst thing I think is to sit in reception, either on the phone texting, or, you know, the worst thing in the world is to be in the interview and the phone rings. So please just turn your phone off. Give yourself plenty of time, 10 minutes early. Work your journey out beforehand, do a trial run if necessary, suss it all out so that when you get there, you can sort of, right, your shoulders go down, you can smile, you can relax, you're not all in a big panic and a big rush. So smile, eye contact. Of course, we're not allowed to shake hands at the moment, but when we can, we'll be shaking hands again. Sit up straight, don't fidget, don't yawn. I like to hear whatever. I've people do all of that in front of me, and it is quite off-putting. So if need be, have a practice with somebody, get one of your friends or your family members. I mean, you know, I used to do it with my daughter, to be honest, and we'd sort of fall about laughing a couple of times, but actually it does help, because it breaks down some of the, perhaps your nerves to begin with, or just some of those, you know, silly little things, and it helps to settle you. And lastly, assessment centres. You know, you may get asked, some companies are using assessment centres as part of their process. So you might be asked to do an in-tray exercise. This is all about, you know, perhaps a real life work scenario, observed group exercises. They want to see how you perform in a team. They might give you an aptitude test to do, where it could be about verbal, numerical, analytical reasoning, and maybe personality profiles. Don't worry about them. They're not used alone, or they shouldn't be used alone as a standalone tool. They are part of the whole process. If you don't get 10 out of 10 on them, it doesn't matter. It's just they want to sort of see overall how this person performs. So hopefully that's helped. I know this is a big subject. I could talk all day on this. I could write a book on it, I'm sure. Mandy's already got a really good book on it. But as I say, I've got a handout, and I've also got a one-to-one offer for anybody from today that we can give you information on as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found it interesting. And back to Nick.
Thank you. So we've just got a couple of questions.
Didn't see those.
One, as a student looking for a job in marketing, would you advise that I make my CV look more aesthetically pleasing rather than plain black and white CV?
That's a really good question, actually. And I think probably what you need to do is have two, because sometimes if you're applying on an ATS and your CV is, maybe it's got borders, it's got pictures, it's got images, sometimes that ATS doesn't like that, and it might throw it or just take it out of its format that you've put it in. It might be better to apply through the ATS online with your Word document, but then back it up. You could say, well, actually, I've got one that I have got that's more applicable, because I put some time into creating it, and then you can send that one. I'd say, yeah, I've seen CVs go all over the shop in formatting, and you're right, marketing and some of the creatives, they look lovely, but you just got to be a little bit careful. So I think I'd say have two, a Word one and one that you've perhaps created really nicely in InDesign or whatever it is, Photo, Adobe or whatever.
Lovely, thank you. And then we've got another one. Karen, what are your thoughts around jobs that are advertised on Facebook?
Well, they could be absolutely fine. Sometimes I put some of my posts on Facebook. I think it depends on where it's come from. If you can perhaps find the source, if it's maybe somebody sharing it, then you might be able to go back and think, oh, that Karen shared a job. Is there a link? I always put a link to the actual advert. Just be a little bit cautious if there isn't perhaps a trail there of that you can actually see it as a proper job. Maybe try and find out who put it on, who posted it. So some are absolutely fine, absolutely kosher with a link, but just be a little bit careful. I certainly wouldn't maybe go applying for things if I didn't know the actual source of that role. Or anything there that if it's from an established company or established recruiter, that should be fine. If it's from somebody you think I'm not sure, maybe just hold off and perhaps ask somebody else's opinion. Ask a recruiter. I would never mind anybody just asking me a quick question about anything like that.
And just while we're on the subject of social media, do a lot of employers go looking at your social media?
They can do, yeah, they can do. They do use it. I mean, it's a tool, isn't it, these days? Probably more so at the moment because some recruiters are face-to-face interviewing. I've got one client and they are being very good. They're socially distancing. They're offering masks on reception, but others are using the remote interviewing. So, yeah, I think it just depends really. But I do think they will probably at some stage look you up. Yeah.
Be careful what's on your social media.
Yeah, keep LinkedIn, keep it professional. Absolutely, keep it professional. Like Mandy was saying, that Facebook, we all know the stories, don't we, about if you put something dodgy on Facebook, it could get found out, and it does get found out. So yeah. Just if you're going to be prepared to put it out there, it's a little bit like a shop window, isn't it? I always think if you want people to see into that shop window and you've got that advertised or that going on, it's up to you.
Fabulous. Any more questions, anybody? No? Okay, I think Serena's trying to say somebody's getting in. She might have to just watch the recording. I don't know what I can do for the lady that can't enter.
Oh, well, she can have a handout, can't she?
Yes, we'll send her a handout afterwards. That's
perfect. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Karen.
Can I just ask a question, Nicola, to
yes.
Karen? It was about your CV formatting, actually, and this would be for the benefit of people. If you PDF something, are the words still searchable, or do they need to submit something in a Word document?
No, sorry, I think you're absolutely fine. I get PDFs all the time. So yeah, I don't think it's the PDFing that does it. Yeah.
Okay, just wanted to check because I didn't know how those systems work. And
yeah, no, I get them all the time, and it is a good idea actually to PDF. So well done, Polly, for bringing that up, because then it can't be changed. So yeah, good point.
That's lovely. Okay, so that following on nicely. Lastly, I'd like to welcome Polly McMaster, who has waited patiently, bless her, to speak to you all. Polly is the founder of The Fold in London, which was born out of an idea. Having worked in the heart of London herself and being surrounded by men in pristine suits and looking dapper on a daily basis, Polly found it difficult in finding women's clothes that felt equally stylish as well as flattering and practical. So being the entrepreneurial minded lady that Polly is, she decided to create her own, and that was where The Fold was born. But if you go and have a look at Polly's website, what I love about this company is that it's not just about creating business wear. There's a real emphasis in supporting women, whether that's highlighting women and sharing their stories on their website, or even supporting a charity to help women getting back into work. You can really feel the heartbeat of this company, which I think is wonderful. So Polly's going to be talking to you about her journey and offering tips on how to feel confident, not only at the point of interview, but every day when we're going to work, because let's face it, we spend a lot of time there, don't we? So it's important to feel good. So Polly, it's over to you.
Thank you very much. I was enjoying those, also the stories about the interviewing, and I was remembering one where I interviewed someone and the guy literally put his feet up on the table. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I didn't quite know what to do with that. I just thought it was so unbelievably arrogant. And for me, that was like, well, that was curtains as far as I was concerned. Anyway, that was probably the worst that I've ever had. I don't think he didn't get the job. Anyway, so funny stories we'll all have over the years. So thank you so much for having me. I guess in a nice theme that's talking about really just how to get your best foot forward. And as you kindly mentioned, The Fold is a workwear brand, and we're also very much about the female community and empowering women. And I'll just click back on here. There we go. So definitely I founded The Fold on the belief that as working women, we should genuinely love the clothes we wear to work every day and feel confident on the tasks that we're actually doing in our jobs. And I think when I started work, I used to work in consulting, and then I worked in private equity, and then I went off to London Business School. But when I was working in those much more corporate environments, I think in those days, which was quite a while ago now, it was quite corporate, and it was, literally a sea of men in suits. And I found it quite difficult to find something that I could wear to work that felt genuinely uplifting, that felt like myself, that felt feminine, because at the time I think there was quite a boxy, manly suits, and it felt like you wanted to just blend in with everything. Whereas I wasn't sure that I did want to blend in, because I really love fashion, and I felt like my clothes are a way of expressing my personality. Equally, I wanted to feel confident though, and I think particularly when you're applying for jobs, you're on the career ladder, when you're junior in the organisation, feeling confident and feeling that you're sort of showing up and you've got some presence is really important, and we'll come on to some of that a bit later on as well. So The Fold is a global workwear brand. We dress women for work predominantly, and we have a store in Chelsea. It's been a long journey to build up the brand over the years, which has also, in the most wonderful way, also given me the chance to work with a really brilliant variety of people within the business. And they're across all the different verticals that you'd expect, in terms of, we've recruited people in finance, in marketing, in creative, in design. So, also on a personal level, I suppose I've also done quite a lot of interviewing through that time as well. As well as remembering back, obviously, to my more kind of corporate side of what I did. We also have been, this is an example here of, just some looks that we have at The Fold, so you're a bit familiar with what we look like as a brand. But like Nicola kindly said, we also do a lot of work and content doing interviews with our customers who are, real life working women who've got amazing stories to share. So we've actually heard from other customers that it's a really nice place to actually get other role models to sort of read about different career journeys. And we've literally got women from all sorts of different industries, different backgrounds, who've covered a real range of career opportunities. And I sometimes think it's quite hard, isn't it, to explore all those different career options, especially when you're still a student, I think, because maybe the more traditional career paths are the ones that are highlighted, you know, by career services and so on. So it's always nice to have these platforms, and like the platform of Women Empowering Women, where you can read about other women doing these things and think, oh, I never knew that could be a job or a career. I think LinkedIn's also really interesting for that. We've also had the fun of dressing a few high profile women. So you can see women, we've got women who are literally, you know, getting on the tube every day and going to do their jobs, or not at the moment, as the case may be, just doing it on Zoom. And then we've also dressed, people all the way up through sort of royalty and for very special occasions. And then a few more of the glamorous ladies that we get to dress on, you know, during some of their high profile events. But I'll come on to talk a little bit about that later, because I do think this is relevant to a job interview, and I'll round the circle on that in a minute. So is dressing for work important? And I think the context of this is particularly important for the interview, because it's the first time that you get to make that impression. And when I started the Fold, it was definitely the feeling I had, which was, I think it is important to dress for work. But we also wanted as a brand to really establish our authority in that and understand more about it from all the incredible women that we dress. So we've done a number of surveys on these subjects, and we've surveyed over 5,000 women about dressing for work to get their opinions. And we've really heard a lot of amazing themes. And one of the things that I would say is, you know, all the feedback and some of the anecdotes that we read and that we pull out of the information, some of it is quite harsh. I wouldn't say that it's always, you know, that nice. And I think often this is also women talking about other women. And we may not like the fact that sometimes that we are making judgments, whether it's 7 seconds on a CV, or whether it's the first minute of a video call, or the first minute that you're sitting in reception, for example, as Karen was saying. But the reality is that it happens. So we can't necessarily fight against it. It is something that happens. So I think what's also interesting is just to learn a little bit more about it. And that way you can help, you know, let it inform your decisions, so that you're giving yourself the best opportunities possible. So some of the things that came up in our survey from our respondents: I don't take poorly dressed junior colleagues to meetings. And this was all anonymized, so people were really, you know, brutally honest in this survey. I have a male colleague, so it's not just women. I have a male colleague in his 50s who dresses like a teenager. He's good at his job, but I wouldn't support him for a leadership role. So that's someone who's, you know, seeing that this person has potential, but really struggling to visualize them and see them as a position of authority, a position of leadership within the organization. I found juniors that dress too informally can struggle to come across seriously. And the other way around, if I flip that on its head, a lot of the survey respondents that we had said it the other way around, which is, I'm quite junior in the organization. So for me to feel empowered and feel like I've got presence, I tend to use my clothing as a signal for that. So maybe they actually try to dress up a bit in order to be taken a bit more seriously in the organization. So it's almost then letting what you wear and how you present yourself act as a bit of a clue to give other people the impression that you are to be taken seriously, and you are serious about your job, and that you're someone to be watched as you go up the career ladder. If I'm going to an important meeting, my power suit comes straight out. It's like putting armor on. It makes me feel safe and ready to act in a certain way. It's empowering. And I would say that the power suit, it doesn't matter what that suit is. And we were talking at the very beginning of this call when we first came online about, you know, the concept of the power suit has changed a lot. It doesn't mean it has to be a boxy suit that makes you feel, you know, uncomfortable or doesn't feel like yourself. A power suit could be a wonderful dress. It could be a beautifully bright top. It's something that you put on that makes you feel like the best version of yourself. So it's finding that piece, and that's the bit that makes you like, right, I'm ready for action. And I think that's, you know, embodying the spirit of, it's like putting armor on. It's getting you ready for what you have to do. 70% of women that we surveyed said that they do believe that their dressing style can help them achieve certain objectives. And this is what I was talking about with, for example, the junior women who were saying, I need to feel more present, I need to feel more empowered, so I dress up a bit. And also women saying that reaching for that proverbial power suit, and by that I mean those things we were just saying, a bright blouse, something really empowering, if they've got an important call or an important meeting. And it's almost that thing of, if you get up, and we've all been working from home, and you're sort of grabbing the sweatshirt and you kind of got your home sort of loungy clothes on, do you really feel ready for being like snappy and on it, or do you feel a bit relaxed? And it's funny because we think about clothing and we think we want to be comfortable, and then you look at, for example, what a pilot wears to fly an aeroplane, and you think, yeah, I want him to look kind of uncomfortable and kind of like he's ready for action, because I don't want him snoozing in his chair. I want him looking like, or her, looking like they are absolutely on the ball, looking professional, can easily be identified in a crowd. They are the person who's going to be in control of this situation. So it's interesting to think about how clothes make you feel, and how it makes you act in a certain situation. So some of the other things that we learned, because there's lots of different snippets, and you can find more about this on our website if you're interested. And there's also another survey that we did off the back of lockdown called the New Workwear Code, where we also explored some more of these themes, but relevant to what was happening in lockdown, and how do we then still feel like the work version of ourselves, even if we're working at home and therefore living at work, which is also not always a nice way to think about it. So what we feel that we learned was what we wear to work does matter. So dress for the job that you want and own the way that you show up to work. That is in your control. It's your decision. You can show how you want to present yourself to the world. Like it or not, you are being judged. Don't let your workwear hold you back from the next pay rise or promotion. And then sort of as a side note to that, I think there is a bit about being kind to others about it. And one of the things that came up in our survey was about feedback, and about how women had often wanted to give each other feedback. But it can be quite a difficult thing to do. So I think, taking it away from the personal and making it more of a professional situation is really important there. We also had some really awful things come out in terms of, unfortunately, which is number 3, women still receive inappropriate comments, unwanted attention, and harassment over what they wear at work. One of the differences we would like to believe is that women are now calling it out. So, if you do ever receive an awful comment, or you are made to feel uncomfortable, and I do think that can, something to be aware of going into an interview situation as well, call it out, make sure that you're in a position where you feel safe and you feel comfortable. Getting your work wardrobe right is quite tough. We'll come on to a checklist and some tips in a moment, but a lot of women change in the morning before they leave for work. They'll put something on, look in the mirror and go, oh, no, it doesn't work. I'm gonna start again. You wouldn't be alone if you do that, and I think it's fine to do it, because probably the reason you're changing is because whatever it was that you put on, it didn't make you feel comfortable. And one of the things that is the underpinning of all of this is about feeling comfortable and feeling confident. So if for whatever reason you put yourself together and it's not quite working, I think it probably is the right idea to change, as long as you've left enough time. Find out what suits you and invest in a capsule wardrobe to simplify that routine if you are finding it difficult. Clothing confidence can come with age and experience, but you can shortcut this by taking clues from peers, stylists, celebrities, favorite fashion brands. And of course, we live in a world now, we're like almost overwhelmed with, visual clues from things like Pinterest, Instagram, you name it. So, there are a lot of incredible women out there who are amazing icons that we can follow, from Michelle Obama, who always looks vibrant and feminine, but also very appropriate for occasions that she goes to, Sheryl Sandberg. It's just incredible how many people there are to look at of women who are getting it right. Important meeting or events, many women reach for this power suit. So having one of those, at the ready is always a good idea. And this is your top quality wow outfit that helps you to sort of command respect, seniority, and feel unapologetically powerful, because Another thing that we like to say at the Fold is that ambition is not a dirty word. It's wonderful. We should embrace being ambitious. It's something that should be celebrated in women, especially because I think in the past it's had more negative connotations. We also asked women about whether they want a dress code, and actually not that many people really love having a very formally written dress code, but sometimes it is nice to have a bit of guidance from the organisation in terms of how you dress and how you put yourself together. And I'll come on to that now in terms of some little tips. So a quick checklist, and this is really just some thoughts from some of the experiences we've had and some of that information we've garnered from all of our customers and the experiences we've had as a business. The most important thing is about feeling 100% happy and confident and comfortable. If you're fiddling, if you're uncomfortable, if you don't quite feel that it's right, you won't be able to really focus on what you're supposed to be doing. And the last thing you want is the distraction of worrying about creasing here or there, or something coming untucked, or goodness knows what. So it's really important that you do feel comfortable. And the other thing is that sometimes when you feel uncomfortable, it's because you've put something on that doesn't feel like you. That's also not going to make you the most authentic, presentable person that you are in your interview. Feeling that you're trying to sort of be someone else and dress like someone else isn't being, showing your best self. So only be you, and then work out how to present yourself as the best version of you. These are some of, like Karen said, there are some, tips about sort of, setting off early and being on time. And one I would add to that in the sort of what you're wearing vein of it is try the outfit on before. So, one of the reasons I showed those pictures of those celebrities is sometimes you think, oh God, but they always look so amazing and they always make it look so effortless. And I can guarantee you it's not effortless at all. They've probably tried on the outfit, done their hair, done the makeup, have rehearsals for everything 50 million times. And of course, we don't all have stylists and hairdressers and all the rest of it, but you can still do your own little dress rehearsal. Put the outfit on, check everything, make sure that you feel comfortable, so that the morning of the interview, when you're worrying about the best teamwork example that you can give, you're not worrying about whether your tights match your dress, or, have you found that your coat, which is scrunched up in the back of the wardrobe somewhere or whatever. So, put it on before, get yourself organized. And if when you've put those outfits together, you don't feel 100% happy, change it, wear something else. Have a backup so that if you drink your tea in the morning before your interview and you chuck it down yourself and make a big mess, you can immediately change and you've got a backup plan. I think that's never a bad thing, because what you don't want is for that to then ruin the rest of your day. Crack on, get changed, and then focus on the next thing, which is going and nailing that interview. Is the interview online or in person? This is really relevant at the moment. And I think that can really affect how you want to put things together. You could be in your comfortable jeans, as long as you're confident on Zoom that somebody's going to be seeing you here and that you've put yourself together from the waist up. I think that's probably fine, but be confident about it. Make sure that you're making that decision, knowing that if you did stand up, you're not going to look completely weird. Check how your camera computer is looking, and sort of, for example, Nicola's got a lovely background behind her. So if you're worried, or you sort of think, actually, I don't, maybe you're interviewing at home or in your student room and you don't want your interviewer seeing your bed behind you, work out how to put a background up on Zoom. I'm sure there's, a Google how-to on that, so that they're not seeing, anything behind you that could be distracting. And also think about the sort of can they actually see you? Is everything distracting? Are you clear? Can they actually see your face? If you're going in person, just a few things. I don't know about you, but I was definitely the person who would take a nice pair of shoes in my bag, wear my trainers on the tube, and then change. Where do you change when you're going to an interview? Do you hide around the corner on the street and change your shoes so that when you come into reception? I think you can do that. I also think it's perfectly acceptable to calmly ask when you arrive, where's the ladies' room? And then you can go to the ladies' room, freshen yourself up, wash your hands and all that sanitizer business, change your shoes, and feel like, yes, I'm calm, I've taken a moment, and I've arrived. Spare pair of tights in your bag if you need them, etc. One thing I would say, and Karen might have some other thoughts on this as well from her interviewing experience, is I think it's perfectly fine to ask somebody from the organisation or perhaps someone else through doing your research, is there a dress code at the organisation? Could you just tell me what is a typical, if there's no specific dress code, what is the typical thing someone might wear to an interview? Karen, what do you think?
I've been phoned as sitting in a corporate company recruiting, and one of the candidates phoned me beforehand and said, could you please just let me know the dress code for the interview, you know, what should I be wearing? Absolutely not a problem at all. I personally think it's all part of the research, and it shows somebody's very, very serious about wanting to make a whole good impression. And yeah, I would never worry about that at all. Really good advice.
Brilliant. So yeah, so do that. And if for some reason you can't get hold of someone, or you're really nervous about getting hold of them and you just feel that you can't, I think it's probably quite easy to do some online research. You know, look for some of the other people who work at the organisation on LinkedIn, you know, try and find any sort of images of the office that might be available. You know, there are other resources at hand on Google where you can get a sense of it. And I think then make a common sense decision about what you think is going to be appropriate. So for example, if it's a company with a really casual dress code and you show up absolutely head to toe, dressed to the nines in a full-on suit, you might actually feel a bit overdone and a bit uncomfortable. So find what the middle ground is then. Is it a nice smart pair of jeans with a really beautiful jacket and a nice top, but looking all tidy and neat? So it shows that you've made an effort and you respect the fact it's an interview, but you've also not completely missed the fact that this is quite a casual environment, and you don't want it to look like you just didn't really understand what business it was that you were going to go and interview at. So I think, you know, use that common sense approach, but do the research, ask the question if possible. If in doubt, dress smarter. I always think, having said, you know, you might feel a bit overdressed, better to feel a little bit overdressed than to think, oh my God, I look like I didn't realize everybody was going to be so smart and I really just don't feel, you know, appropriate for this interview, which will completely throw you off guard. Don't be afraid of personality or colour. Stand out for good reasons. And, you know, being well put together doesn't mean being boring. And this comes back to being yourself. If you love wearing colourful clothes, if you're an exuberant personality, show it, because they're hiring you as an individual. And I think, you know, you want to, you know, be authentic to that. And there's no need to blend into, you know, the beige walls and the grey suits. You know, make it your own, as long as you've understood the concept of appropriate and respectful. And if there's a problem and you're at your desk and you've got a drama, something's happened, it's always better to take a pause. Excuse me, do you mind if I just put myself on mute or video mute while I fix something? Or ask if you can just quickly pop out to the loo to have a break. If you come back and compose yourself and then suddenly everything is fine, and you've really shown that you can take that initiative to act in a grown-up and responsible way, even in a difficult situation, again, it just shows you can handle a crisis. So I think it's another clue to a recruiter or an interviewer that you're able to think on your feet, to be calm, to be professional, and to not get completely and utterly wound up by, you know, by a situation which is only human. We're all only human after all.
Holly, sorry, just before we go on, Debbie Cromarty from the Eco Stitch, she's an upcycler. She just wanted to make a comment. Deb, did you want to say something about that?
Oh yeah, I think Polly kind of moved on to it herself as well. But I suppose, yeah, being eco and upcycling, having worked in a corporate environment as well, I think so many workplaces are getting far more casual than they ever used to be. Not that I necessarily agree with that, because I think you do produce better work if you're dressed professionally in an office. But I think, yeah, the young people that I used to interview, you know, they'd come in and they'd have bought a suit and they'd be all kind of suited and booted, and then they'd probably never ever wear it again, because once they got into the office, they'd realise, actually, do you know what? It's ridiculous. I'm never going to wear this. And so I think the key, the point that I was like, oh, it's really key, I don't think there's any harm in asking the employer and saying, what's the dress code? And I'm not suggesting you go to an interview in your jeans, because I probably would have, rightly or wrongly, I probably would have frowned at someone who'd turned up in their jeans to an interview. But yeah, just so you don't go out and spend a load of money on a smart suit that you're never ever going to wear again. And I'm probably now talking from my eco head, aren't I? But yeah, I don't think so. I really think it's right to ask actually, what's the dress code? Is there a dress code?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Polly, sorry, back over to you.
No, that's fine. Really, the last thing that I was going to move on to was, what are some of those pieces then that could kind of be great investments for your work wardrobe? And particularly, that's such a good point, which, you know, you could feel comfortable wearing to an interview, but then you know you're going to get a lot of use out of. And really, this is just to, the bit I wanted to highlight on this slide actually was the lady who commented about, you know, I usually wear bright red lipstick, it's my signature. It hints at my name, my business, my personality. And I think that's a really nice sort of sentiment to have when you're thinking about how to put yourself together, which is, you know, people are looking for something to hook onto. Why are you better? Why do you stand out as an individual? And you want to present yourself, you want to be you want them to remember you for who you are. And it doesn't mean if you've never worn red lipstick in your life that you suddenly should, but there might be something that is very true to you. You might have funky glasses, you might, you know, always wear a white shirt, whatever it is. And I think those are nice clues that give a bit more about yourself. And it's a bit like that LinkedIn photo, which is you smiling, something in that's real life, rather than something that looks very wooden and sort of like, well, you have no idea who that person is about, and it could be a stock image from the internet. So what I was going to say was, in terms of that, you know, what pieces are useful pieces to have. So, for example, really great, the best that you can afford of the best pieces that are going to be the most versatile in your wardrobe, because you want to be able to wear them for years and years. And for example, we're definitely, you know, believers in slow fashion, which is you buy once and you buy it well, and you try and get something that is going to be versatile, that's going to be coveted in your wardrobe, and that you're not going to need to replace after sort of 3 washes. So looking for those pieces, we've got 2 sustainable tailoring ranges, for example, and this is just our example, but there are plenty more out there where you can find really good pieces. So for example, a smart pair of black or navy trousers, which can then be worn with a whole variety of different things. 1 or 2 really fabulous tops, which maybe you just don't need the jacket. And then it's not really a suit, it's more about a nice outfit that looks smart, that looks presentable, but you still feel feminine, you feel like yourself. A lot of women love wearing dresses, and at home during lockdown, that might have felt a bit weird because it's sort of to feel like you're wearing a dress and sort of sitting at home all day. But actually, when we go back out there and we're back in the office, you know, dresses are a wonderful thing. And I think they're a brilliant thing for an interview, because once you put it on, you're done. It's one piece. You can then wear it with, you know, wear a coat, fine, but you don't need to worry about all sorts of coordinating items. So it can be very simple in terms of that decision making. You put it on and you're ready to go. And I think a smart dress, or a, you know, smart, nicely made jersey dress is a really sort of easy, comfortable piece that can still look extremely professional. And, you know, again, I would say do that research online and find women that you think look great and look professional. Find those brands, you know, like the Fold, obviously, where you think, oh, you know, that's a great outfit, I feel like I could emulate that. Look at those profiles of those women on websites like ours, or Women Empowering Women, or articles about women, and see how they're putting themselves together and take inspiration from it. And yeah, I think those are my main tips. And just in case anybody did want to do a little bit of shopping, there is a code here. So if anyone wants to go online and use that, they're very welcome. And I guess I would also say on that, you know, shop wisely. If you're at the beginning of your career and you've not got that much budget, there are lots of ways nowadays where you can find really high quality pieces. And I probably, you know, I shouldn't really be saying this from a brand who wants to sell, you know, full price, but, you know, you can find some wonderful pieces through, you know, outlet websites, or go to an outlet center. Try and find something that's high quality. Look at the brand behind it, you know, shop with purpose and shop wisely, and find those beautiful pieces that are going to stand the test of time. And I think for work, particularly, that's something that you can then sort of have in your wardrobe and treasure. So, you you know, you can get something for not much money if you're smart about it, or or buy pre-loved items, anything like that. But that's all a really good way of putting together a wardrobe that's maybe a little bit of a notch above what you would normally be able to afford. So it shows you're really investing in yourself. Yeah.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. Has anybody got any questions?
Sorry, Gobby here again.
It's okay, go on.
But I think actually, Polly, that actually was really useful, especially at the end, because I used to work in a corporate environment, and the work I do now is either I'm at home sewing, or I'm going out meeting clients who want something, or I'm in a school environment teaching, and I've never been in that environment before. And one of the things I found really difficult was actually knowing what to wear. And in a corporate environment, I like to wear heels, but it just seems really inappropriate going into a school wearing a pair of heels. I don't know, it just seems really odd. But just what you're saying, I actually thought, no, do you know what? Like a pair of navy trousers and a white shirt and a pair of loafers would be perfect, wouldn't it? Because you're still professional, but you're not overstated and overdressed. So thank you. Yes, it is what I want to say, really. Thank you, because that actually just came to me in a blinding flash as you were talking. Yeah, or a nice dress. Yeah.
Yeah, just going back to earlier about you were saying about how you feel and stuff. And when I was a uniformed police officer, you'd go to work in your jog bottoms, and you'd go into the the changing room, and you'd come out and you'd go into the feeling a different person because of your your uniform. And I think when you come into business, like when I used to get ready for my business network meetings and you putting on a suit, you do feel like a different person. And I think it's so important. And I don't know whether, it's something that we overlook, or like, you leave to the last minute and think, oh God, what am I going to wear? But just those tips that you've shared, I think we've all done it, not even just for interviews, going out for a night out, and then you've bought that dress and you put it on and you go, oh my God, what the bloody hell do I look like? And something old comes on. But it is, isn't it? You can literally, I'll use like children love to dress up. It gives them, they like to like be Power Rangers or that sort of thing. And I think it's almost like that in adults. As in, you put something on and it gives you that confidence that you can almost be, just, I don't know, hold your head a little bit higher. Going into an interview situation, I think it makes all the difference. So thank you so much for sharing that. And ladies, I've learned so much today, and, just all of the tips. Hopefully, I hope, everybody's found that helpful in some way, shape or form. We will be doing a follow-up email sharing, but Polly, can I ask you, you did that sort of checklist of things on your slides. Would you be able to share that with us, that we could send that, because that was really helpful, and thank you so much for your voucher code. Also, Mandy is offering a discount on her book, which is wonderful, thank you. And Karen is also, I know she sort of talked and she didn't use slides today, but she's got a download that we can send to you all. So hopefully you'll go away with a few extra tools in your pocket to go and get that job and smash it during your interview. So thank you. We're getting some thank yous here. Interesting. Thank you, ladies. But thank you, and thank you to these lovely speakers today for giving up their time to help and support you going forward. And I wish you all the best of luck. So if you haven't, and we'll also send you details of everybody's websites. So go and have a look. Go and link up with people, and come along and have a look at Women Empowering Women UK. There's loads of resources there just to help you in all aspects of your life, really. So thank you all.
Thank you.
All right,
You're
and okay, enjoy the rest of your afternoons. Thank you. Take care.
Thanks all. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.